na. Good day everyone. I'm Kirby M. Orain and my topic for today is hip dominant exercises. At the end of the lesson, students will be able to demonstrate correct form in hip bridge and dumbbell deadlift with 80% accuracy. Second, differentiate regression and progression movements of hip dominant exercises. The third one is explain and at least 2 benefits of hip dominant exercises for the posterior chain. So what is a hip hinge? A movement pattern where the hips move backward while the spine stays neutral. So I will show you a video demonstration showing a proper form of a hip hinge.
Now drop it to the flow, drop it to the flow then. Now lean then. Turn around then. Turn around.
So when doing a hip hinge, your back must be arched and you must avoid doing this, which is the round back, and you must slowly hip your hinge or your glutes backward, just like this. Okay na. It is different from knee dominant exercises such as squats. And lastly, primary movements occurs at the hip joint. Examples, lifting objects. So a hip hinge occurs when doing such things simpler, such as lifting objects, just like this. So this is the posterior chain muscles. The posterior chain muscles includes gluteus maximus, which located near the butt area. So the next one is hamstrings. So it is located at the back of the leg, and the erector spinae, which located from the lower back, which is this one, and lastly adductors, which is located near the quadriceps. So these muscles are essential for injury prevention, strength, and posture. The importance of hip dominant exercises. Hip dominant exercises help to improve posture and balance. Second, increase lifting and sprinting power. Third, reduce risk of lower back injuries. Lastly, improve functional movement in daily activities. So in easier terms, this make our life movement easier. For example, di ba yung lola at lola natin nakukuba na sila sa sobrang katandaan. So possible yun na ma-prevent kapag nag-exercise tayo ng mga hip dominant exercises, kasi na lalasan nito yung pagka posture imbalance, and nako-correct nito yung pagka kuba natin. Safety cues for proper hip hinge. Always remember, maintain a neutral spine. Keep ribs down. Chin tuck eyes forward. And lastly, drive movement from the hips, not the knees. Common mistakes to avoid. Excessive knee bending. So, huwag nyo siya masyadong i-bend ng pagganto. Kailangan nakalock lang yung knees nyo habang nag-hip hinge. So, the second one is rounded or over-arch back. Bawal kayong mag-round back, which is pagganto, parang pakuba. Dapat laging naka-arch yung back nyo. The third one is not engaging the glutes. So your glutes must be engaged while doing the hip hinge movement. The first step is engaging your glutes. Don't forget the first step, which is engaging the glutes. Lastly is the poor hip extension. So wag nyo kakalimutan mag hip extension, kasi napaka-important nito para ma-correct yung form nyo. So we will go to the hip dominant exercises, which is the hip bridge. The type is regression exercise. The regression exercise means doing a simpler movement of an exercise, which is yun nga, the hip bridge. It targets the glutes and hamstrings. Second is, it is beginner friendly. Lastly, performed on the floor using an exercise mat. So I will insert video demonstration here.
This exercise is the glute bridge. So we're going to be strengthening the hamstring muscle, the low back, and the glutes. So go ahead and lay down on the ground. And first you're gonna make sure that your feet are about shoulder width apart, and then we're gonna try to get that pelvic tilt. So what that means is we're going to rotate our hips back so our low back is touching the ground. Once you do that, you can double check that and put your fingertips just inside your hip bones, and you can feel those deep core muscles activating. Once you have the pelvic tilt, then you're going to squeeze your glutes and raise up towards the ceiling. You're gonna hold there for a couple seconds, and then you're gonna come straight back down, nice, slow, and controlled. When you come back down, come out of the pelvic tilt, and then reset again. So we're gonna be working on resetting on each rep that you do for the glute bridge. Remember, squeezing those glutes and coming up to the ceiling. As you get stronger and you're strengthening the pelvic tilt, you're actually gonna hold it for each rep. So remember, rotate those hips backward till you have your low back into the ground, squeeze those glutes, and come up towards the ceiling. You'll pause there and then slowly return down to the ground. And maintain that pelvic tilt. Squeeze the glutes, and then come back up towards the ceiling. You should be feeling this in the glute region or the hip region. So you're gonna take the elastic band and tie it around your thigh. Make sure to double knot it, it'll be right above your knee. And this is actually gonna help us to strengthen the glute med muscle, so the muscle in the outside portion of your hip. You'll lay back down, and again, starting with that pelvic tilt, rotating back so your low back is touching into the ground. You're going to spread your knees apart and then squeeze your glutes and raise up towards the ceiling. Making sure you're going nice, slow, and controlled and breathing throughout the entire range of motion. You'll come back down and then try to hold that pelvic tilt, squeeze those glutes, push against that elastic band up towards the ceiling again. Nice, slow, and controlled.
Ito naman tayo sa hip dominant exercises, which is the dumbbell deadlift. The type is progression exercise. Progression exercise means doing a movement which is more advanced. In the word progress, syempre kunyari level 1 ka, come up ka na sa level 2. It builds posterior chain strength, requires proper hip hinge technique, and lastly, emphasizes controlled movement. So, also, I will insert image or video demonstration here.
The dumbbell deadlift is a great variation of the classic deadlift if you don't have access to a barbell. The dumbbell deadlift hits your glutes, hamstrings, and core. To get started, stand with a shoulder width stance with a pair of heavy dumbbells on the floor. To pick up the dumbbells, start by bending at your hips, followed by bending your knees. Grab the dumbbells with an overhand grip, arms straight, and focus on keeping the natural arch in your lower back throughout the movement. Press your feet through the ground to stand up, pull your torso back, and thrust your hips forward to really contract your glutes. Lower the dumbbells to the ground and repeat.
So we will going to differentiate regression versus progression. Regression, hip bridge. We must reduce the load and focus on form. So syempre, pang beginner tong hip bridge, kailangan mo na magaan yung weights and then focus muna tayo sa form. The next one is progression. Dumbbell deadlift, kettlebell swing, increase resistance and complexity. So dito naman sa dumbbell deadlift, kailangan medyo advanced na siya, and then yun nga, increase mo yung resistance level and complexity. Guided analysis questions. Think and reflect. Why is hip hinge essential in hip dominant exercises? So, in hip dominant exercises, hip hinging is the first step. You cannot do hip dominant exercises without hip hinging. So, it is very important in doing it. The second one is, how do glutes and hamstrings help in daily tasks? So, kahit simple walk, syempre nagagamit yung muscles na glutes and hamstrings. So, important siya na ma-strengthen kagaya ng paggawa ng mga hip dominant exercises. Lastly, what adjustments can prevent lower back strain? Prevent lower back strain? So, of course, by doing hip dominant exercises properly. Here are the real life application. Hip hinge in daily life. Examples: lifting a school bag. Second one is jumping. Third one, running. Lastly, carrying groceries. Okay na. Second, jumping. Third, running. And the last one is carrying the groceries. Take note of the following. Proper hip hinge improves performance and prevent injury. So guys, we're gonna doing a student activity, which is a reflection task. Number 1, identify one daily or sports activity. Second one is explain how proper hip hinge helps improve movement. The third one is write your answer on an index card or notebook. Assessment. Students get 1/4 sheet of paper and choose the correct answer. Number 1. Which muscle group is mainly targeted in hip dominant exercises? A. Chest muscles. B. Posterior chain muscles. C. Arm muscles. And D. Shoulder muscles. 2. Which exercise is considered a basic regression of hip dominant exercises? A. Kettlebell swing. B. Barbell squat. C. Hip bridge. And D. Jump squat. 3. What is the correct body position during a hip hinge? A. Rounded back. B. Neutral spine. C. Bent neck forward. And D. Arch lower back. 4. Which muscle is not part of the posterior chain? A. Glutes. B. Hamstrings. C. Quadriceps. And D. Lower back. 5. Why is proper hip hinge important? A. To lift heavier weights only. B. To prevent injury and improve movement efficiency. C. To make exercises harder. D. To focus on arm strength. To sum it all up, this is the key takeaways. Hip dominant exercises strengthen the posterior chain. Proper form is essential for safety. The last one, these movements improve daily function and athletic performance. So thank you everyone. Thank you for listening for our today's discussion. Again, I am Kirby Morain and the class will be dismissed.